Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, I want to welcome you to our first of our series of equine webinars. My name is Kelsey Nordyke, and I'm your Kansas 4-H Ag Sciences Specialist. Very new to this role. I began the beginning of November, and I come to you from a county position as a 16-year 4-H and agriculture agent in Cowley County. And with that, we'll just go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so if I could have somebody give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. It should be our opening slide for the equine webinar series. Perfect. Okay, so as I said before, this is the Kansas 4-H Equine Webinar Series. We are going to do these once a month on the third Monday of each month, beginning at 7:00 p.m. And so I'm excited to share this with you because I want to give our 4-Hers and our 4-H volunteers an opportunity really to just learn more about what the Kansas 4-H horse program is and to help grow our program. So with that, we'll just go ahead and get started with our first slides. So tonight, what we're going to cover is the Kansas 4-H Standard of Excellence Achievement Levels. And so in short, that is our horse level testing system. And we're going to cover what we require at the state level, why we require it, and what needs to be done in order to reach those levels. So we do have 4 achievement levels with Kansas 4-H horse, levels 1 through 4. And the elements of that level testing procedure is a knowledge test, skills, and leadership within the project. And so within that knowledge, there are written tests or really online tests for levels 1, 2, and 3. Those are done through your local extension unit, and we'll share a little bit more about how you follow that process later. The knowledge portion of level 4, which is our very advanced level, is done through oral questions. The skills portion is through groundwork and pattern work for levels 1 and 2, and then pattern work for levels 1 through 4, and then of course leadership in the project. And that is just a situation where you need to fill out a form. It needs to be documented and signed by the 4-H'er, the parent, and the local extension agent. So our objectives or our expectations for levels 1 and 2 are that those 4-H'ers would acquire some basic knowledge about horses. And so these are our most basic levels of achievement in the horse project. They're going to learn the importance of being leaders or using leadership in their project, and also learn their basic horsemanship skills for safe and enjoyable riding and safe and enjoyable handling. With level 1 especially, we really focus on our skill test with just being safe in how we move around, how we handle our horses, and how we are as horsemen. For levels 3 and 4, now these are a little bit more advanced levels where those 4-H'ers who are completing these levels are really learning some basic understanding of reproductive physiology and management, and also nutritional management. So really getting a little more advanced in what we're learning about horses. We also look a little bit more at horse judging in these levels. And the level testing also requires that those 4-H'ers can describe and illustrate the use of some training aids, and also perform some patterns with more intermediate maneuvers while maintaining control and collection. And if you have a chance to look at what those patterns are, you'll notice that level 1 and 2 differ drastically from levels 3 and 4 as far as the degree of difficulty in those patterns. So the requirements, we do not have any requirements on local units that your 4-H horse members complete any level testing, but I will always remind you to check your local requirements. We do require that if a 4-H member wants to exhibit at the district horse show and or the Kansas State Fair, they must at least complete level 1, and that's for all ages. Now that is a little bit different because in years past, juniors completed level 1 and seniors completed level 2. At this point, all ages are just required to complete level 1. Another change with that is that if you have a 4-H'er who is only competing in halter and showmanship classes, they do not have to do the writing portion of the skills test for level 1. Each level must be completed sequentially, so you cannot complete level 2 before you have completed both the knowledge, the leadership, and the skills portion of level 1. And the same would be true of levels 2, 3, and 4. The written test must be completed and passed before the skills test, and level 3 and 4 must be completed in order to participate in level 3 and 4 horsemanship classes at the Kansas State Fair. And as I said before, you'll want to make sure that you check your local requirements. I know that we do have some local units that have a requirement for completing level testing for certain ages of horse members in order to exhibit at their state fair. Wanted to share with you some of the knowledge and resources with the study guide, and I'll be sharing with you the website here in just a bit too about where you find these. These are located on our Kansas 4-H horse page at the Kansas 4-H website. So you'll notice there that first there's a listing of the cover sheet and the study guide materials. So the cover sheet is listed for levels 1, 2, and 3. And I personally prefer that for the study guide. It really, if a 4-H'er can complete all of that study guide, they will be well prepared to complete the knowledge portion of the level testing. The study guide that is listed there really gives you a list of materials that you can use to help answer those questions. The materials listed there are Horses and Horsemanship, Horse Science, the Horse Industry Handbook, the Youth Leaders Manual, and the Kansas 4-H Horse Show Rulebook. Many of your county units will have these materials available. If they don't, a lot of them can be ordered. You by no means need all of these materials to study for your level test. Now, in that study guide, though, it will tell you where to find the answers to each of the questions on the cover sheet that is with levels 1 through 3. The knowledge test for levels 1, 2, and 3 is completed online through your local extension office. That is a Qualtrics survey, and so you'll need to make sure that you contact your local extension agent in advance to schedule a time to go and complete that test. Some of our agents may not be super well versed in how the process goes. I would just encourage you to let them know that they can contact me or Shannon Rogge if they have questions about how to complete this process. There is a $10 fee that goes along with your level testing. That pays for the fee for your knowledge test as well as the skills portion. And in order to pass the knowledge test, you must have at least an 80% to pass. And then, like I said before, the knowledge test must be completed before you complete the skills portion. Now, the skills test in level 1 includes groundwork. And all of our skills testing is completed by an evaluated by a certified level tester. And so the different portions that go along with that are catching. And so the level tester is going to look at how you approach your horse and also how you halter it and making sure you're doing these things in a safe manner. They're going to look at how you lead and tie your horse, making sure that you can perform a correct safety knot. And then I would also encourage all of you to make sure that when you're doing that safety knot, that you're not slipping that tail back through the loop. Lots of times that's what we do, and that's what makes it not a safety knot. So we want to make sure that at least in our level testing and when we're handling our horses that we are being safe. They're going to look at how you maneuver around your horse. They're going to ask you to pick up a front foot and also pick up a back foot. And so they want to see how you move side to side and make sure that you're moving behind the horse outside of kicking range or very close and not going underneath that horse in the front. They're going to look at how you saddle and bridle your horse, making sure that where you place that tack is correct. I do know that we have lots of smaller 4-H'ers and lots of big horses. And so there's some concern sometimes about, well, my 4-H'er isn't tall enough to get the saddle on the horse. And so a couple of options that can happen there is that those 4-H'ers can use a mounting block if they can lift the saddle and get it up there, or they can direct a taller person, an adult, to help them, as long as they're the one directing and guiding and they're telling the adult exactly where to put them. And then they're also going to be scored on how they mount their horse and whether they check the tack. Level 1 and 2 have the same writing portion. And again, this is evaluated by a certified level tester. You have patterns A or B. One looks a little bit more like a reining pattern. One looks a little bit more like your typical horsemanship pattern. You are going to be scored on your maneuvers, so how well you complete the walk, the jog, the lope, and all of those transitions of gaits in between there, how round your circles are, how well you stop and back. And then you're also going to be scored on your horsemanship skill. The level tester is going to look at your hands, your seat, your legs, and your feet. And this test can be done in person or virtually. So a couple of years ago, when we were in the middle of COVID, we allowed 4-Hers to complete their skills portion of their level testing virtually. And we have a list of evaluators who are willing to do this virtually. You have some options there, and really that is up to the level tester. Sometimes they'll have you email them videos. Sometimes they'll FaceTime you and they'll just watch you live as you do it. So there you have some options there, and that's something you'll want to discuss with your level tester. So I would encourage you to contact your level tester personally. There is a list on our 4-H horse page, and all of their contact information is included there. Level 3 and 4, once again, are evaluated by a level tester, but there are only specific level testers who are certified to test levels 3 and 4. So you want to make sure you check the listing to make sure that you have the correct level tester. These patterns are more intermediate to advanced patterns with some additional maneuvers. Some of those maneuvers include the extended jog or trot. They include lead changes, side pass, and you're going to be still scored on your accuracy to complete the pattern as well as your horsemanship skills. The knowledge test for level 4 is a little bit different because it is completed orally. It is done by the level tester for level 3 or 4, and they're going to ask you questions based on the level 3 study manual. And so really looking at what your knowledge and skill is and how much you have retained. So here is our suggested timeline, because we know that oftentimes people don't start thinking about their 4-H projects till school's getting close to being out and the weather is getting warmer. I would really encourage our 4-Hers to not delay in completing their level testing. I would encourage you to complete your knowledge test in the winter or early spring, and then contact a level tester as soon as possible to schedule your skills test. Oftentimes what we found in our local units is that 4-H families don't start scheduling those testings until it gets close to the deadline to register for their district horse show. And so I really would encourage you to do that sooner rather than later, because a lot of our level testers are also extension professionals. And so they are pretty busy when it comes to getting ready to register for your district shows. And of course, you want to complete that level testing prior to entering your district show. That is a state rule that you have to have that completed before entering the show. And I do see that we have a question in the chat, and I will make sure that I address that as soon as we are complete here. So as I said before, I was going to share the sources with you. That top website, it takes you exactly to that horse page with the levels testing, but sometimes I find that it's easier to explain how to get there. If you go to kansas4h.org and click on projects, then go to animal science, then horse achievement levels is listed over on the right hand side under the links, and my email is listed there as well. I'll make sure to share these slides and the recording of tonight's webinar on the horse page so that you can access this later as well. So that concludes tonight's very short webinar of the Kansas 4-H Horse Standard of Excellence Achievement Levels. Upcoming on April 18th, we will be covering the Danish ribbon grouping system at Kansas 4-H horse shows. So specifically, this will be effective in our district shows and also the state shows. I know that some counties don't quite follow the Danish system for their horse shows, but this would be appropriate definitely for your district shows and your state shows. Okay. All right, so I have a question from Evelyn, and it is, she wonders how she can register her horse for 4-H. So Evelyn, I would just encourage you to make sure that you're enrolled in the horse project first, and you can do that by logging into your 4-H online account or contacting your local agent. They can tell you for sure if you're enrolled in the project. Your next step is to complete your 4-H horse ID. That 4-H horse ID is due by May 1st in your local extension office. So actually, what we'll do real quick, I'm going to go to that website and I'm going to show you exactly where you find it. Let's see. So this is the 4-H horse project page. And over here on the right-hand side is the horse ID certificate example and the horse ID certificate. So we'll go to that example right quick so you can see it. Okay, so it does not have to be typed as this one is, and your horse does not have to be registered. But if it is, you'll want to make sure you include that information. So you're going to complete this whole horse ID form. You're going to sign it. Your parent or guardian is going to sign it, and then your agriculture agent or your 4-H agent will sign that as well. Now, the back side includes where you're going to list the color, the description of markings, and then a photo. So this is a good photo that shows all of the horse's markings. If you have a horse that has markings on both sides, you're going to want to make sure that you include a photo of both sides. And I do want to take you back real quick. So I want to make sure to draw your attention to the Kansas Clover Classroom. And we're going to go ahead and check that out really quick because there is a 4-H horse safety. And I would always encourage our 4-Hers to look at this. It's a great resource that really just talks about horse safety. And we have one coming out very soon about how to complete your 4-H horse ID. And so if you're in a local unit that maybe there aren't a lot of learning opportunities for your project, this would be a good opportunity to do some additional project learning. Okay. Any other questions for me tonight? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing then. And thank you once again for joining me. Please join us back here next month, April 18th, where we'll cover the Danish ribbon grouping system. Also, be sure to go back to the horse webinar page on the Kansas 4-H horse page and give us there's a survey there. I was going to say give us a review. That sounds kind of silly, but if you'll complete that survey, and also, if you have suggestions of other things that you want to learn throughout the year that you'd like for us to share on the webinar, we'd be happy to hear those suggestions and we would love to include them. So with that, I will let you all go. Thanks again for joining me and we'll see you soon.